So a lot of people think that the e-collar is like really controlling and we're trying to take away his freedom and we're trying to get him to be like drill sergeant. A lot of people can feel really conflicted about that. But the goal of the e-collar is that we can do off-leash things and have him reliably come back to us without fearing that he's gonna take off.
Right.
And the only way we can do that is by making it really clear to him.
What's the big guy up to? Hi, buddy.
He's doing good. Still scared a lot of everything. Because that's like the main problems on the walks.
Sure.
That he gets scared of the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then he lags behind me, stuff like that.
Sure. Okay. So last time I think you guys added the e-collar into things, obviously. So are you finding that, like, is he walking fine, but then if he gets nervous by something, he tries to pull off, or is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. All right. And how has adding the e-collar into it been going? Fine?
It's going fine.
What'd you try to use it for?
The barking.
Got it. Okay. Did he stop barking when you did it?
I mean, yeah, but he then got scared and run away to the basement.
So a lot of times I tell everybody, especially when you have like nervous dogs, you're gonna see an overcompensation for certain things initially, right? So you've got to try to do your best to look at like a situation like that. Like let's say you're loose in the house and you're trying to address him like freaking out the window at stuff. He's gonna freak out, you're gonna correct him for it, and then his default response is gonna be just, I'm not barking, but I'm just gonna go run somewhere and park myself somewhere, whatever it may be. And generally speaking, you've gotta focus on the only thing I cared about in that moment was that the barking stopped, right? And as long as it stopped, what will happen is the next time he won't be barking, he won't get the correction for it, and you won't have that big overcompensation result. And he'll start to kind of loosen up and get more comfortable with just what the general rules are, right? So continue correcting for the barking when you see it. Don't have that be like a deterrent for you to stop doing it. And you'll find that if you get on that for like maybe a week, you'll see the barking will almost 100% just go away, and then you won't need to correct him, and then he'll learn to just exist within those rules in the house, right? Let's do this. I want to take a look at the walk real quick first. I want to see how you're doing it with the e-collar, and then we will add the stuff today.
Okay.
Lead the way. And the loud noises he gets scared of, is it generally just traffic and stuff still, or?
Yeah, it's like the big trucks.
Yeah. Got it.
Another day, like yesterday, it was like the first day where they were taking out the trash.
Yeah.
He was super scared before walking, and he just like wanted to run away back to the house.
Yeah. Got it.
So I had to like go up to like 40 something.
Mm-hmm. And when you went up to that, did he start walking with you again?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
He was still like lagging behind. But
Yeah. But he wasn't like actively trying to like run away anymore at that point. Okay, got it. Yeah, continue obviously making sure when it happens, you're able to correct it and get him focused back in on you. I mean, the walk looks night and day difference right now than it did last time, so that's positive, obviously.
extra good here because
Yeah.
he's still like anxious about the whole environment.
Sure.
Oscar, no.
And right there, did you give a correction with the
Yep.
e-collar? Perfect. What level were you at?
34.
Okay.
Mostly works for him, like
Yeah.
small things. But yeah, so like when he gets scared, it's like he just ignores it.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, right there, that correction you gave, and that one right there, I would actually say he didn't care about that anywhere near as much as I would like for him to, right? So if we're finding that right now, with him in a relatively low state of arousal, like he's not going crazy because all the stuff around him or anything like that, he's fairly focused on you, and that level is still not appropriate enough, you're probably going to find that at home you need to be substantially higher than that. So let's go ahead and we'll cross here.
I don't know. At first, like 25 was working for him.
Yeah, a lot of times initially, because it's only been a week since you started it, the first handful of days, it's kind of working more off of the novelty of it than it actually being motivating to him. Like for many dogs, the first week, you could have that thing set at like a 2, and it's like just because it's so new and the dog doesn't handle new things very well, it's like the end of the world to them, right? But then as it becomes something that they understand what it is, it becomes less motivating at that point because it's no longer novel, right? So then it's functioning off of, does he actually care about the level or not? Not, it's just a new thing. Making any mistakes, dude. I said he's not making any mistakes.
Nope.
Can you think of anything on your walks that you're doing that is even ever so slightly different than what you're doing here?
No.
Okay.
Unless I'm stopping from time to time, like giving him treats.
Yeah, sure.
If he stops with me.
Yeah. That wouldn't be a major difference, obviously.
But yeah, the only thing, he's actually still afraid to walk near the home.
Sure.
Like around the area, no.
Yeah, so right there, that was the first time I saw a response out of him, and even then I bumped it up. We're at about a 63 right now. So I would say actually, if anything, the difference probably is that at home you just need to be much higher on your e-collar. I would say this week, instead of getting hung up on like a specific number, being like, yeah, 25 or 35 is like usually good for stuff, just go solely off of what level in the moment immediately stops his behavior, right? Make it right here. Because that is, I mean, that would be the difference from today to last week, right?
Like 40.
Yeah.
Got him moving for the trash truck.
Sure.
That's why I'm like.
Yeah. Sometimes it's so, the first couple of weeks, sometimes it's so random, you know? It could be anything. It could be how it's sitting on his neck. It could be his, again, level of distraction. It could be, again, the novelty like we talked about at the first week. It could be so many different things. That I would say for a lot of clients is the hardest thing the first week with the e-collar is finding that right level, you know? Because you've really got to get yourself in the mode of almost every time you use it, kind of asking yourself, did he care too much, too little, or just right? And then making little adjustments up or down. So right there on that correction you just gave, good timing with it. As far as the level is concerned, what did you think of that? Too high, too low, just right?
I think it was a little bit high. I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
Yeah, so I would say that level was perfect in that moment. Yeah. And not that I want to see him jumping when you hit it every time or anything like that, but those are your big triggers, right? So we need for him to care more about that level than that. And in the moment, the reason why he jumped probably had little to do with how high it was, because we just corrected at that just a couple minutes ago, right? It was nowhere near as strong of a response, but he was more startled in that moment, so he was a little bit more twitchy, right? But you notice when you hit it, it immediately stopped it. It wasn't like, oh, he got the correction and kind of slowly put himself back in position. He got the correction and immediately fixed himself then at that point. So that I would say is like a perfect level. So kind of use that actually more of your reference for around the big distractions, what you're kind of looking for. If you remember from the last session that we did when we were giving the leash pop, if we weren't physically pulling on that leash, right? I mean, he was still kind of jumping when we were doing that. That was still pretty motivating correction, right? The only difference is you're seeing it more now because there's no leash tug. It's just happening with a button. For a lot of our clients initially, we very infrequently need to coach them to turn the level down, but very frequently do we need to coach them to turn it up, right?
yeah.
And a lot of that's because, again, we don't want to make it seem like we're like hurting him or anything like that. But we should be correcting with the intent of not needing to correct again, right? You gave that higher correction right there, so next time you're in that situation, you're much less likely to see that same response. And what we're gonna get into next is we're gonna get back into some of the sits we were doing last time inside, but we're gonna do them outside with more distractions here. All right, so I'll have you hang out somewhere over there. I'm gonna go ahead and do a handful of those sits here. So I'll pick my spot, sit. Good. Okay. Sit. Okay. Sit. Okay. Sit. Now, is that a loud noise that generally would get him going?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's why obviously he's obviously nervous right now, but we're working him through it. So, okay. Sit. Okay. Sit. So put him in command. Before you start moving, I try to make sure the leash goes totally loose. And I'm not gonna like walk all the way to the end like that, because sometimes if I accidentally put a touch of pressure on there, that could send him a mixed message that we want him to get up and come to us. So I try to make sure I get that leash totally loose, and I kind of walk around making sure that there's not gonna be a touch of pressure on that. And I just kind of go around, make sure he's not getting tangled up or anything like that. And then at the end, go back to him. You could give your praise, obviously. Okay, then your release. So just slow that down a touch. Sit, same deal. Nice and loose on the leash. Slow and steady with the walk around, making sure you're being mindful of that leash. Go back, give your praise. Okay. And right in this kind of area, work some of the sits where you hold the leash and walk around him, but we'll kind of stay relatively close to where the traffic is to test him with it. All right, and your next one you can do right up over here. Good, not around major distractions, obviously. Very noticeable improvement. And did you say when there's not distractions around, he's been walking like that for you? Okay, perfect, excellent. Much better than it was last time, obviously. The only thing now at this point is since you've gotten the walk under control, you've got to get the distractions more under control, which the only thing that's going to change is you need a much higher level for that. So be aware of that. You're probably going to be working a lot higher than you think you're going to be working at over the course of this next week. But as long as you do that, you should be able to get the remainder of that under control. Because like even this is great. You know, obviously some of the distractions we saw out there were great. When you did need to correct when the bus went by, he handled it really well, obviously. So that I'm pleased about. That's really good. What was I going to say? The sits is going to be the second big thing to start adding into like your daily rotation of things you work on, and work it when you're out on your walks, right? So take him out and about. Obviously, when you are out and about with him, if you see distractions, you know, don't run away from them. Take an opportunity to get him under control around them.
I was trying to do yesterday.
Yeah.
Trash truck.
Perfect. Yeah. So obviously.
Actually was walking.
Yeah, perfect. So that's exactly how I want you to handle it this week. Like I said, the biggest variable is just going to be making sure your level's higher, and then when you're working with the sits, slow and steady with it, right? Like when you're walking around, like we're trying to help him out here, obviously. We're not trying to make it super challenging for him or anything. So make sure you're not pulling on the leash. Make sure as you're walking around him, you're working nice and slow with it, and you'll be fine.
Hey guys, happy Halloween, am I right? We're here today with Reese and we're gonna do a social. So right now we have two really stable social dogs, Maxine, who's a stable female, and Mr. Toby, who's just a puppy. He's very, very social. We have Reese on the other side. We're gonna bring him in and just kind of let him get acquainted with the group. Oh, he's peeing. Take your time. You play the waiting music. All right, I'm going to open the gate. So as we've talked about before socially, we want to start with a smaller group. As you can see, Reese has a drag line on. In case anything happened, I can easily pull him away and get him out of the situation. He's a dog that hasn't been around other dogs for about 5 years due to his reactivity. So it's pretty impressive that he's able to just blend right back in. And as we always talk about, the 3 keys to social success is removing affection and attention to each dog, removing toys and treats, so we can have the playgrounds be very neutral and each dog can interact with each other without humans getting involved or resources getting in the way of being able to have the dogs socialize healthily. And then a lot of people think that for social success, dogs have to play with one another for it to be like they're having fun. But I'm happy with just Reese walking around. As you can see, his body language is very loose. He's comfortable. He's getting some smells in. He doesn't have to play for his social to be successful. But we do want to see him being able to accept getting smelled as he's doing right now and smelling another dog. Little tail wag here. And we'll kind of watch what this develops into without having to step in or constantly monitor or micromanage the dogs in social. You can see he's pretty interested, kind of trying to initiate some play here. And this is where it's really key to just ignore him, because you can see several times when he's been about to play, he kind of looks back at me and wants attention. And if I had given him attention in that moment, that can really deteriorate him wanting to interact with the other dogs. And while growling may seem a little bit scary to some, we're just going to continue to let this play out and watch. So rather than react right away, as like typically the signs would have people think he's being aggressive or a bully, again, I just want to allow this to play out a bit and only step in if I really do need to correct him for a safety issue. So because the social went so well, we're going to end on that note, as we've done socials with him prior, but this is the first time he's ever opened up and played. We're going to go ahead and call that, put him back in his crate, and allow him some time to just come down a little bit, and we'll go through another social next time. Yay, Reese! Your haircut looks so nice. Yeah. So tell me about what's going on. I know you texted me saying a couple weeks ago he got off leash and kind of got away from you a little bit.
Yeah, we're trying to play fetch off leash, and he got away a little bit. He was like running. I got a little bit scared. I had to buzz around him. I said no.
Yeah.
And he came back to me. He like ran around me and tried to like run into the street. I said no again. He took off even faster.
Yeah.
He just ran home.
Yeah.
That was pretty traumatic experience.
Sure. Yeah.
He's been slowly uneasy. We've seen some improvement.
Yeah.
But he still gets nervous sometimes.
Okay.
Like especially when I put the e-collar on, he'll start to shake, kind of like he is now.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be so nervous.
So anything else going on with him in the contents of his training?
No, yeah, he's been really good. He's been,
He's been like listening to me a little bit too much.
Yeah. Sounds like with the e-collar, the incident that you experienced, he just didn't understand what was expected of him. So rather than look at it as like, oh, the e-collar caused him to run away, he just didn't know what that correction was or how to turn it off. So what I'd like to do today is just work on some recalls and see if we can't pair that a little bit better, and use a lot of positive reinforcement as well, to kind of get him motivated and coming to us.
Yeah, like I probably should have been saying come down or something like that as opposed to no.
Yes. Yeah.
And when it's too high because I was scared. And you can probably hear my voice that I was scared.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, it's just him understanding that come, like if we are playing fetch with him and he takes off, we say come, and the idea is we want him to come back to us and starting to come back into our space, so we don't have to give him additional commands just besides the come, and get him really understanding no matter what, no matter where I am, I have to come back to mom and dad. So we'll start inside just to gauge where he's at. When we're looking at a command and how proficient a dog is in a command, I always want to start without distraction, just so we can see there's not a lot to compete with here, he's not overwhelmed, and see if at the core, does he know the command? Does he understand what to do when we're asking him to come? And then from there, we'll add challenges.
perfect.
So I'll just start by creating distance from him. I have him on a long line, just to ensure that if I give him the command and he doesn't do it, I can use a little bit of leash help as well. I know he knows it, but he just needs to, maybe a little refresher. Come. No? Macaroni, come. Yes, good boy. Okay. Macaroni, come. Good. So we just want to make it extremely clear to him what the expectation is. So although he's appearing nervous, he went on the treadmill, he's like, I'm going to lay down. I want to not accept that as an answer. I want him to fully understand exactly what I'm asking him to do. And we can see he's a little bit nervous at first, but the confidence should come as he understands coming back to me and exactly what's expected. Macaroni, come. Yes, good boy. Okay. Come. Good. Good boy. No. Come. Good. So obviously I'm pausing for a second now to make sure he's stable within coming. So I want to get on the criteria too. If I tell you come until I say okay, I'd like him by us. So he's either in command or out of command. So sometimes if we're blending the commands on our walks and we're not correcting when he goes off to smell or he goes ahead of us, he's like, am I in command? Am I out of command? So just to make it clear, we always want to correct if we tell him come and he darts ahead of us in any context. And then obviously giving him free time out in the parks, playing fetch, where he's not in command, but he can easily respond to a command. Okay? Come. Good. Good job, sweetie. Okay.
He has been pulling a little down the beach. He's a little bit nervous when we're walking.
Yeah. Come. We'll take a look at the walk here in a second. Good. We just want for him, like sometimes dogs can get really confused if we're not having the criteria mean the same thing each time. So if sometimes we have a different response to his different behaviors, he can't ever get the problem right. He can never find the answer. So in being consistent, we can offer him a lot of clarity and understand if we need to go up in our levels or if we just need to be able to correct consistently at a certain point. Okay? Mackie, hi.
Everybody come.
I love the jump. It's like could be judged on America's Got Talent.
He jumps up when you're saying at a bar stool.
Yeah. Yes, good job, buddy.
Oh, you just swallowed that one.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Macaroni, come.
Good job, buddy. And then just start to get on him if he does walk away by just marking with no and using a correction. So he did well there, but the next couple of reps, just come to a pause after he's come back to you, and we'll see is he committed to staying in our space or is he committed to being like, got my treat, got my praise, I'm gonna go head out, see mom. There you go. And you can kind of stand up and pause there to see if he's committed to staying with you. And once we've determined that, we can release and do another rep.
Okay.
Perfect. So although he came to us initially, we really kind of want to pinpoint wandering off is what's going to be corrected, just so he understands exactly what to do and stick with the person that gave the command. Hi, buddy. Hi. You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful, huh? And whenever you're ready, you can call him to you.
Macaroni, come.
Yes, good job, buddy. That looks great. Beautiful.
Okay.
Yes, Good job, buddy. So we'll start by just clarifying our walk. So as we're headed to the trail, I'm gonna have him in a come command. And I want him kind of in a position where his butt's not passing me, and I don't want to tug on the leash a lot. So I kind of just want him to naturally understand where the command is. Macaroni, come. And I want to allow the leash to be loose enough so if he does go ahead of me, I know that I'm not trying to prevent it, like by pulling back. Good boy. And obviously there's grass on both sides, so the temptation to go and smell is going to be pretty high. But until I release, I want him right out my side here. So again, he can differentiate when is free time versus when I'm in command. Come on. Good boy. Doing pretty good, bud. No. Come. Good.
Now, did you correct him there at all?
I did, yes. So any like intentional stopping, like going behind or going ahead, I want to mark incorrect. So it's not just enough to say no, we also want to make sure that we're pairing it with a correction that he cares about. So we're preventing the behavior from happening. Come. Good boy. Good. No. Macaroni, come. And just get him a little bit more focused on the heel position. Yeah, it's a very common problem. People like try to give like blend, and it's a blurred line between am I in command, am I out of command, which leads the dog to being really confused. So we want to ask ourselves, did I have him in a command? And if so, we're going to enforce that anytime his butt passes or he goes off. And then for his free time, all I have to say is, Macaroni, okay, okay. And now it's his time that if I wanted to let him drag this leash, we'll go down this trail here, that he's free to go smell, he's free to go off. Come on, bud.
Sometimes when I can tell that he's anxious, a little like hesitant to hit the buzzer on him.
Yes.
I think I should just remain consistent even though he's like scared.
Yes, yeah, because it's not the e-collar that's causing him to be scared. It's him not understanding what the expectation is, and then him just being like, what do you want from me? So it's like when you're a kid, like having your parents not be clear with you or letting you make mistakes so you can learn from them. So if he is appearing scared, the e-collar is not going to go on top of that and make him more fearful. It's just going to set a boundary for him to understand where we'd like him. And with that understanding can come us feeling like, I haven't corrected you because you're just doing the right thing. Come on, Macaroni. Come on, bud. Macaroni, come. Yes, good boy. Good. Okay.
And also, does your voice inflection also matter, like when you give him the commands? Because I feel like when you say no, like it's like very like
negative sounding.
Sure.
When you say it, it's always like positive sounding.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that matters at all?
I think we should have no emotion in our voice when we're giving a correction, because I'm not angry at him.
Right.
And I don't want to shout at him because that could make him a little bit more nervous. My no is always just really neutral.
Okay.
And then I follow it up with the correction. So if we're saying no and not correcting, he's technically not understanding that there's a consequence associated with any of his behavior,
Right.
which leads him to continue to perform the behavior because he's like, well, I didn't get buzzed. Come on, bud. Macaroni, come. Yes, good boy. Okay. And our long line can be a super helpful tool as you're navigating the trust back in your recall with him. So it can be like the training wheels. So your homework is maybe, if you don't already have one, get a long line and just do things like this, where we're putting him in different environments and situations and practicing our recall if it's busy out, if there's a squirrel, if there's children, so we can say what is really triggering Macaroni. And we can still be safe by having him attached to a leash. I'll hand him over to you. And we'll just kind of continue to walk every so often. If you'd like, just create a little distance and tell him come.
Macaroni, come. Don't run me off the road.
Go. And generally, we'll see him loosen up quite a bit once we have a really, if we're being clear to him, like this is allowed, this is not allowed, we'll see him loosen up a lot more where we can utilize the command. Because he's pretty sharp with it. He understands.
Yeah, he's into it.
And you can release him at any time to see if we can't get him to smell. Good job, come on.
Okay. This is more comfortable.
Yeah. And okay is just telling him he's free, so if he chooses to walk next to you, that's all right. But because he's in an okay, I won't correct if he gets ahead of us. This is his free time. That's what it's intended for. We can pull over here
Pick this up.
and put him into a sit.
Macaroni, sit.
Good. And we'll let this pup pass.
Oh, that's cute, man.
He is. Good job, buddy.
Come on.
And any movement toward the dog, you can mark incorrect. Good job, buddy. Good boy.
Real hard.
That was really good.
Good boy, Macaroni.
And you can release whenever. So a lot of people think that the e-collar is like really controlling and we're trying to take away his freedom and we're trying to get him to be like drill sergeant. A lot of people can feel really conflicted about that, but the goal of the e-collar is that we can do off-leash things and have him reliably come back to us without fearing that he's gonna take off.
Right.
And the only way we can do that is by making it really clear to him.
Doing great.
Good job, buddy.
Macaroni, come. Pace.
It's hard when we've been working on the commands. He's like, you're just gonna tell me to come.
Right.
So we see them loosen up a lot more when we're able to like just have either or. He's either in command or he's not. And I like to do a lot of this with my dog where we're practicing, like when we're near the road, I'm always going to have her in that come command. And when we're in a setting like this, I can give her the free time. So my goal is not to be super strict all the time. It's just that he understands what version of walk we're doing. So during his free time, you can take a ball out, you can let him just roam, you can let him smell whatever he wants. And then occasionally testing out your recall by telling him to come and making sure we're positively reinforcing him coming back to us, and also correcting and if he does not come back to us, marking and correcting.
Doing so good.
And then now he's loosening up a bit. He's able to go smell.
He's in the pack mentality.
Yes. You're so aesthetic with the leaves all around.
That's true.
He's a good fall dog.
You just need a little bandana. Good job, buddy. I definitely would recommend getting a long line, and homework this week would just be doing something like this.
Yeah, we have one.
This will just like really refine your recall in different situations.
Yeah.
And I want you to feel really comfortable that he's super reliable. There's no requirement that he has to be off leash to be well trained. But you'll when you get to that point, if you get to that point, he definitely is capable of that.
Yeah. And we'll definitely practice doing fetch and
Yes.
doing stuff like that in a more
Yeah.
consolidated manner than
Yeah.
than just throwing him into
Yeah.
that little park by the street.
And don't be afraid to utilize your corrections, because that's really the only way that he can consistently learn not to do something. And we didn't need to go even very high. I think the highest we went today was 23.
Yeah.
But that 13 that we just were at was
Yeah.
completely effective.
Yeah. We usually keep it at like 15 or 16, so give or take, whenever
Yeah.
we're outside.
Yeah, this dog knows what we're asking him. It just, he gets spooked.
Yeah, he got spooked.